You ever wonder why AI tools like ChatGPT feel like they have superpowers in English, but then you switch to another language and, well, the magic just kind of fizzles out? Today, we're going to dig into some amazing research that completely flips our understanding of this problem and shows us a path to making AI that speaks every language fluently. This famous quote, which the researchers at Datology AI actually open their paper with, just hits the nail on the head, right? AI's incredible future is here, but for now, it speaks with a really, really heavy English accent. We're about to break down why that is, and more importantly, how we can start sharing that future a whole lot more evenly. So here's the fundamental problem we're talking about. These big language models, they've completely changed the game in English, but for other languages, their abilities don't just dip a little, they often fall right off a cliff. And we're not just talking about clunky translations. We're talking about reasoning, getting the nuance, handling complex stuff. It's a massive digital divide. For the longest time, the go-to explanation for this was something with a very dramatic name, the curse of multilinguality. Basically, the idea was that an AI model has a fixed amount of brain space, so every new language you cram in there is taking up precious real estate, and that makes the model a little dumber for everybody. And the logic kind of made sense on the surface. You add more languages, they all have to fight for the model's attention, and boom, performance starts to slide for everyone. It was seen as this unavoidable trade-off, a total zero-sum game. But the team at Datology AI took a hard look at this and asked, what if that whole idea is just wrong? What if the model isn't the problem at all? What if we've been blaming the student this whole time when we really should have been looking at what we were feeding it? And this right here is the brilliant core insight of their entire work. They suggested the problem isn't the model's brain, it's the model's diet. See, for years, we've basically been force-feeding these multilingual models a junk food diet of raw, messy, totally unfiltered data scraped from all corners of the internet. So they asked the big question, what would happen if we switched it to a gourmet meal of clean, high-quality, curated data? So to put this whole diet theory to the test, they set up some really clever, really clean experiments. They trained a bunch of bilingual models, so just English plus one other language at a time, and they did this across 13 different languages. This setup let them zero in on the one thing that mattered, the quality of the data. All right, let's get into the results, because this is where it gets good. These dark purple bars, that's our baseline. This is the performance you get when you feed the model that junk food diet of totally uncurated, messy data for both languages. This is our starting line. Okay, now watch this. This is fascinating. For the next test, the researchers only cleaned up the English data, leaving the other languages' data just as messy as before. And look at those light blue bars. Performance in the other languages, the ones they didn't even touch, still jumped by an average of 3.9%. Think about that. Just feeding the model better English made it better at Japanese and German and Spanish. And here it is, the grand finale. When they finally fed the model that 5-star gourmet meal, curated, high-quality data for both languages, performance just goes through the roof. This proves it was never about languages competing against each other. It's about quality lifting everybody up. A rising tide lifts all boats. And the numbers are huge. By carefully curating the data for each language, they saw performance gains of up to 16.9% compared to that messy baseline. The curse wasn't a curse. It was just a really, really bad diet. But hold on, it gets even more interesting, because the benefits didn't just flow one way, from English out to the other languages. Nope. The researchers found something that doesn't just debunk the curse of multilinguality, it completely turns it on its head. That's right, when they cleaned up and improved the quality of the non-English data, it actually made the model perform better on the English tests by an average of 1.2%. It turns out that high-quality data, no matter what language it's in, is a signal of quality to the whole model. It just makes the entire system smarter. It is a win-win, absolutely not a zero-sum game. Okay, so this discovery has some absolutely massive implications for the real world. If smarter data is the answer, it could totally change how efficiently we build these incredibly powerful AI models. We're not just talking about making them better, we're talking about doing it with way, way less resources. So I want you to think of this next chart like it's the AI Olympics. The line across the bottom is compute power. The more you use, the more expensive it is. The line going up the side is the error rate. You want that to be as low as possible. So the gold medal spot, the champions quadrant, is down there in the bottom left corner. Maximum performance for minimum cost. And boom, there it is. That big shaded area, that's the old world record.
That was the best anyone had ever done. Now look at the dots for the Datology AI models, the ones trained on the gourmet diet. They are way, way down in that champions quadrant. They didn't just beat the record, they established a whole new frontier for what we thought was even possible. Let's just put a number on how insane that is. These new models get the same or even better performance than other top-tier models while using 4 to 10 times less training compute. That's not just an improvement, that is an absolute game changer. So the big takeaway here is crystal clear. That so-called curse was just a total misdiagnosis of the problem. It was never about the model running out of brain space to learn new languages. The problem was we were feeding it junk. The bottleneck wasn't the brain, it was the food.
Okay, so we've officially busted a huge miss in the world of AI. That's cool, but what does a well-fed AI actually mean for the rest of us? Why does this really matter? Well, first off, it gives us a clear path, a real roadmap, to building AI that works great for everyone, no matter what language you speak. That's huge for fairness. It also makes building AI way more accessible. Making it 4 to 10 times cheaper means you don't have to be a tech giant to create powerful tools. And maybe most importantly, this shifts the whole focus of AI research. It's no longer just an arms race to see who can build the biggest, most expensive computer. The new frontier is about intelligent, thoughtful data curation. It's about working smarter, not just harder.
You know, we always hear that old saying, data is the new oil. But maybe this research gives us a better metaphor. If data is just the raw ingredient, then maybe the most valuable skill in the future isn't just drilling for more of it. Maybe the new pioneers of AI won't be the people with the biggest machines, but the people who become the world's master chefs of data.